Welcome to Disruption and Response. This is Mark Spielis. I'm a faculty member at Central Michigan University, and I want to spend some time with you talking about our current disruption that's going on and some ways of handling that or working through the disruptions that we're seeing today. So we're currently seeing a disruption not only within our supply chains business, but in our human connections, right? And that's what I really want to focus on today is how today's disruptions with COVID-19, how are they impacting our human connections? How will they impact our human connections? I think that's most important right now. Everything from our socialization, being able to get together with friends, with student groups, with relatives. It's all going to get disruptive. Our ability to go out, spend time during holidays, right? We have St. Patrick's Day coming up, and the fact that during that holiday, a lot of bars are going to be not able to receive business. So how do we deal with that? A lot of times I deal with stresses through sports, right? I like to use sports as a way to go ahead and release. March Madness, bracketology. Boy, a great time to connect with people and enjoy things. And again, that's going to be a disruption. We're not going to have that as a vice. It's kind of hard to find things on TV today as far as live games, and that becomes a major disruption. And for some of you, faith, mass, being able to connect with people at church, that is also going to be disruptive as well. So the question is, we understand these disruptions are going to occur. How do we deal with it, right? How do we respond to those disruptions that are going to be occurring in life? What are some things that we can do personally to help with some of these disruptions? So I have some suggestions for that. So let me share those with you. First of all, develop a daily routine. Now with whether it's work or whether it's your class schedule is being pulled out from under you, it's great to get into a daily routine. If you don't do that, you're just going to fall victim to changes and not really getting routinized with a schedule, which is really healthy. So one way to ensure that you do that is document your plan. Document what your daily routine is going to be and then hold yourself to it. So as you document it, share it with people. Say, here's what my plan is every day. This is what you're going to do. So start with a plan. My next suggestion, reach out to family, friends, people. It's going to be hard as we're not able to physically connect with people that we're used to connecting with. Social media is a good way to do that. So whether it's social media through texting, FaceTime, maybe small groups, do what's being recommended right now as far as not large group gatherings, but reach out to people, and especially the elderly, right? So find a way to connect with whether it's elderly parents, perhaps your grandparents, people in the neighborhood, seniors, maybe going out, providing some assistance to them, maybe raking up their yard, helping out with things around the house, just asking them, like, are there things you can do as far as grocery shopping for them or other things in the event that they're not able to get out. Simple ways, write a letter, right? That art is almost all but gone now, but a simple way to connect with seniors is just writing a letter. And then personally reconnect with a hobby. Find a hobby that maybe you enjoyed at one time and reconnect with it. Find a way to connect, or maybe it's a new hobby, something you've always wanted to do. You'll have the time to do that, but fill your day with activities and a schedule. And that schedule should include developing your career, whether that's continuing with your career development or working on it's an internship or a full-time job upon graduation. Start with your networking, right? So important right now is companies are going through a lot of changes. We're going to see a lot of changes with companies coming out of this. I'll explain that later on in the podcast. But continue your career work, resume, networking, connecting with companies and people, just asking, hey, how is this impacting your business? Is there anything that I can do, anything that I can help with during this time? Okay, so this is all about networking. Find your student organizations. whether it's the Supply Chain Management Association, another student organization. Use that to integrate yourself into that community. So again, when I talk about community and this disconnection with community, this is a way to do that, and I plan to help with that as well as bringing our community together. Okay, whether it's our faculty, our corporate partners, our alumni, finding ways to connect with all of you as a student organization or alumni, it's important to me. All right, so for each of you, this is lifelong learning. I've explained the importance of lifelong learning to each of you in the classroom. Here's a time to go ahead and embrace that, right? So this whole situation with COVID-19 should be a learning opportunity for each of you. As you go into stores and you see store shelves have been cleaned out, some might say, oh, that's a supply chain disruption, right? We've got a supply chain issue. We don't have a supply chain issue with that. It is a demand issue, right? Crazy behavior by shoppers, people's behavior in regards to stocking up on toilet paper and unnecessary items during this time. It's creating not a supply issue, but a demand issue. So demand right now is extremely high for certain products like toilet paper. But in addition to that, we do have higher demand legitimately driven by the COVID-19. So you see the demand for hand sanitizer, for antibacterial soap, perhaps face masks. That is legitimate demand. People are demanding more of that. It's going to be impacting our forecasts for the next month, the next 6 months, the next year. All this has to do with the supply chain. So you see today manufacturers are finding ways to ramp up production of face masks, finding new ways to produce supply and capacity for hand sanitizer. The supply chain is being impacted though today by the coronavirus, and the way it's being impacted is based on our global supply chains today. The fact that our global supply chains today exist, places that have been restricted and quarantined are being impacted the most. So let's take a look at that. So quarantine areas, more specifically the countries of China, Italy, and South Korea, have all been placed under quarantine areas. That may happen to us. It may happen to other countries as well. So we're seeing this situation evolve. So when you look at the sectors most impacted by it, you look at the automotive sector. So the automotive sector is focused on those countries, right? So they have a presence, I should say, in China, Italy, and South Korea. So almost 2,700 facilities or more are being impacted today, perhaps more in the future, in the automotive industry. We are going to see disruption in this industry, in the supply chain, more specifically, over the next 2 to 3 weeks, as these quarantine areas see the supply chain work its way through manufacturing facilities, and we will see supply shortages. The same thing's going to hold true in high-tech and consumer electronics. More than 3,000 facilities are in that triangle, China, Italy, South Korea, all being impacted by COVID-19 and impacted by the quarantine areas. So as well, expect to see supply chain disruptions for our consumer electronics, any type of high-tech products. There's going to be some shortages of supply, plus in addition to that, there's going to be shortages of product. Okay, so I see 3 changes right now as a result of COVID-19 we should all plan for right now. Number 1, changes to business. Businesses are responding. Businesses that put in a contingency plan for business disruption are going to be the ones that come out of this really well. Our economy was really strong going into COVID-19. It will come out strong. So I expect businesses that had a really good contingency plan to come out stronger. Businesses as well are going to be looking at the use of labor, and the use of labor today may be pushed towards reduction of labor and more automation, more technology. The second impact is going to be supply chains. without a doubt, supply chains are going to be re-engineered, pulling out of some of the areas perhaps that we experience high risk in. We're going to continue to see global supply chains. However, the COVID-19 may force us to nearshore and do more of our productions and pull some of our supply chains closer to our customers and our U.S. Customer base. And lastly, education. Right, so education is going to change. Without a doubt, we're all going to go through some changes and some challenges with online delivery of education, but this will also change education for the future. I see education being integrated more with online content in the future as a result of this. So both students as well as educators need to plan for that. I see that as a change coming out of this. All right. So as leaders and leaders of our future societies, each of you should look at this experience and learn from it. You need to take this experience and you need to apply this into the future, into your future careers, into life, ensuring that society learns from this and is better prepared to handle these types of disruptions in the future. So it's incumbent on each of you to take this experience, take personal learning out of it, apply it in your life, apply it in your careers. All right, so it's a good time to stay optimistic. Don't panic, be alert, right? But the optimistic way to look at this, sometimes when you look at it optimistically, life kind of pulls together. So whether it's a career perspective and you're finding companies are on a hiring freeze right now, don't worry about that, right? Continue to network, continue to work through that. We'll get through this. When we get through it, we're going to get back to some level of stability. You want to be at the top of the list as far as when companies think about, I need to now start hiring. When do we do this? So stay optimistic. Life will look after you. That's a good mantra for life. So thanks for joining me on this podcast. Again, this is Mark Spielis. Make it a great day. Thank you.